Hi, Zizaran here with another video, and this is regarding the podcast me and Methel did with Chris Wilson. Just wanted to make like a TLDR, a little bit about my thoughts after it's all over, etc. I think it went pretty much as good as it could do. Obviously, there's a lot of stress by being on these. We saw a lot of the Bay class members got a lot of flack. I don't think I got a lot of flack for this, so it's been a pretty positive experience for me, but I know Methel got a lot of flack. Especially people calling him a shill. Like, if anything, Methel has always been very consistent in his opinions through every patch, so that seemed very unfair. And I think it's important to realize everybody has their own opinions, right? Don't just, like, attack somebody if they're not the same as yours. But anyway, let's talk about it. So I'm fairly happy with how it went. The important thing here is to hold GGG responsible, accountable, I don't know what to call it, but like to see what they actually do now that we've told them, right? They're getting more and more information from the community, from different parts of the community, and people like to meme on them saying like, we hear you, and then nothing happens. But obviously, I mean, hopefully it is we hear you and that we will see something changing. Some things they don't want to change, but it's not like they're going to see like, say, like Chris going, oh, Zizaran, thank you for bringing that up from the community. We're going to change that right away. Right? Obviously, like these things require development time. So we'll see. Hopefully, a lot of the things we brought up will help impact the development cycle, development things in positive ways. But yeah, so they've like talked about loads of like fixes for 3.16, 3.17 seems to be like very much of a shakeup with like an end game thing. So I'm more excited for 3.17, but hopefully we're already going to see a positive direction already in 3.16. So I'm fairly excited for that. And yeah, like the main important thing is you have to wait and see, right? Until it comes out. That is like the end all be all here. Like you're not gonna, words don't mean anything, really. And it's really cool that Chris and the team are doing these talks. A lot of people have pointed out like, well, it's in their best interest to do so. But looking at companies like Blizzard and others, it doesn't really matter that it's in their best interest. There's very few companies that do shit like these, even if it's hurting them not to. So it's still very cool of the CEO to take time and do this because very few companies do. So first, let's talk about like build diversity, viability, and accessibility. I think this point got missed a little bit. I generally feel like what I still believe what I said and what I tried to convey on the podcast, which was that build viability is lower this patch than others. I mean, I have a lot of friends that are good build creators and a lot of them feel the same, right? There are generally less weird clunky builds that are as viable in this patch than as others. It's not just the fact that they haven't been discovered yet. Now obviously there will always be that, right? There will always be like, yeah, a big meta shakeup, things aren't always instantly discovered, but it's extra punishing on hardcore right now, which obviously affects me more than a lot of people because most people don't play hardcore. But for those that don't know, if you're not block or dodge right now, it's pretty rough. There's a few other things like transcendence, you can freeze all your enemies, but without block and dodge, it's kind of rough right now. And I personally, like, I'm pretty much always trying to design block or dodge for every build, or I generally try not to do it or expect it to die. And I should have stuck to my guns a little bit harder on that on the podcast, because I talked to a lot of people after as well, and everyone's like, yeah, no, definitely it does feel quite bad defensive wise right now. So that's how I feel about the build diversity thing. One of the things I was very happy about that I felt like they did sort of like admit to or concede the point, I guess, whatever, is when I started talking about defense and how important that was. That wasn't something they had as a thing they were going to look at as much on 3.16, but Chris admitted and said like, yeah, no, that actually is really important. We are now going to talk very heavily about defense for 3.16 and hopefully we can get that in. But it is a very big thing to fix. So that's probably like the thing that made me the most happy by the entire podcast, was just the fact that they realized that defense is in a rough spot, and that'll get fixed, hopefully. Next up, chase items. They seemed also like pretty okay with some of what I was saying there, with like more target farming, that it's important to not just have like those chase items like headhunter and stuff that can randomly drop, and they are a good feeling, like Chris says, they are a good thing in the game when they drop, but nobody's opening a map opening for those, right? It's important to have things that are like more likely that can happen or more target farmable and still feel good. So they seem to be committed to improving that, and they also we talked about things like the Maven loot table, etc., and they also admitted that was pretty bad. Felt a little bit mismatched there with the Maven one, because he also said like, oh, that's because of the meta, but it's not really. A lot of those items are just straight up unusable, which Methel pointed out as well. They did agree that like div cards and stack decks do need rebalancing, but they're stuck in the fact that people paid money for them, so they can't remove them from bloat. I still very happy with my suggestion there, and think that is honestly would be the best thing, in that stack decks and diviners, like, they can still exist and there still be really, really good exciting things, but they should probably not drop boss specific things, because bosses in Path of Exile are already in a very fragile state. So that's one of the things that pushed me out of Trade League, is the fact that, yeah, you can go farm Shaper for a Starforge. Obviously completely irrelevant right now because Starforge is garbage, but it shouldn't be. Like, you can just pop in some stack decks and buy the other cards, and then you have a Starforge, which I think is one of the worst things about the game right now. They did point out as well that they are aware of some items, like for example, this favor being garbage, and they do want to like touch on that. And they also talked about Awakened Gems are getting buffed, and they're giving power back to Awakened Gems, and that's really cool. Especially what happened to Hex Touch was pretty sad. Harvest and other stuff, they kind of doubled down on that. Obviously, they have done one concession. It's no longer going to be like Alk and Chaos Spam. Like, they're going to be both in the same, so they'll all work as like Alk or Chaos, right? And that's a really big change. It might seem small, but it is honestly quite big, because Reforges can be very powerful. It's kind of like limited fossils. It's kind of like a one fossil thing, right? So they are really, really nice. Or fossils with no downside or upside, depending on if you're using them as blockers or not. But either way, they're really, really good. So very happy about the small changing Harvest there. They don't want to do anything else. They're terrified of Harvest and think it's too strong. I think GGG are definitely leaning more towards... I would bet you so much money that they've been thinking, like, how upset will people really be if we completely remove it? Will they be upset for 1 patches, 3 patches? Will it kill our game? I think they've 100% had like very, very long discussions about wanting to remove Harvest and the effect it would have on the game, because they seem to really hate it. Which is why I'm so surprised they put it in full power and Ritual to begin with. We talked a lot about the rarities. They're intended. I don't know if they're fully aware of how rare they are, but they're definitely chase items. Now the thing is, they're so rare, nobody's gonna chase them, right? It's absolutely obscene how, like, I haven't found one. Very few friends of mine that are streamers and play a shit ton have found one. And if people with that insane playtime haven't found one, no hope in hell of somebody casually playing it's gonna find it, right? It's insane. Harvest is kind of detrimental for the game. I definitely prefer things like Rog. I think that's a good compromise. And past Ashlane, like Ashlane level 4, I think that was a good compromise for like the last step of an item, but you have to like craft the other ones with RNG. So big fan of like things like that are still a little bit RNG, but maybe it was too deterministic. But I think the reason why Harvest is so contentious is because there is nothing else in the game really close to it. GGG also felt like the Ashlane crafts were too powerful. I'm way more of a fan of just diluting the pool further, because it's still RNG, and just make it slightly more RNG then. But it's like, it's so insane to have it annul the item as well. Like, that's insane risk. So I don't know. It's very high risk, high reward. It is still being used, so maybe it's just the fact that we've already felt what Ashlane was like without it, so now it feels extra bad. Like, I've tried to use it this late, but I'm like, you know, you don't want to use it on 2 good items anymore. It has to be like half good items. Very scary on super good ones. We did also bring up things like inventory management. They are completely against automation or spreadsheet-like gameplay, so they don't want auto sorting. They don't want auto depositing. However, they did talk about adding additional gem affinities, prophecy affinity. But they said that, or well, actually, they didn't say that prophecy affinity would be happening. They said prophecy will be getting removed from the game. So that it's going to be interesting to see what's happening with that, because the faded uniques, and I don't know, there's a lot of prophecies that are pretty cool. So are we just losing that, or are we getting it in other parts? Maybe they're just going to do the faded uniques as something we get in Heist or something. Like, you could add quite a lot of things to Heist. As for the endgame, they did seem to think about whether low tier conquerors would be farmable, and obviously they are right now only farm a high level, but they hadn't thought about that, it seemed. And obviously quite a lot of people want to be able to do lower level conquerors. They also talked about a delve rebalance with like way more cities, so you're gonna find more bosses like Owl, etc. So the delve rebalance seems really, really good. Those were like the main things that I was happy with. To conclude, I'm very happy that GGG are doing these talks, and we just have to wait and see if they actually listen. Like words don't really mean anything, but it's very nice that they are taking the time to do these talks with us and listen to us. Hopefully I did a good way of representing as many different people in the community as possible. Thanks for all the nice comments. Honestly, I haven't feel like I've gotten any toxicity. Happy with how that went. Hopefully you are too. Thank you guys so much for all the support. Thanks for watching my videos. And yeah, make sure to give Methil some love too. More importantly, try to die less than I do.